discuss the current issues that we are facing, looking at the historical side and what the future is looking like for Gen Zs, and have really credible sources on this table today. And I'll be your host. My name is JoJake Kairu. I am a photographer, videographer, and journalist. So we'll do the introductions, and out of respect, I'll start from the far side of my table.
Thank you very much. My name is Cyrus Jirongo. I've done politics, I do business, I also farm. Thank you.
So thank you. My name is Susan Warosho. I'm a businesswoman, entrepreneur, and I'm a property consultant. Anything to do with property. Yeah.
Thank you, Felix. My name is Zach Kenuthia. I'm a part-time politician, part-time lawyer, and analyst of a wide array of issues, global, regional, and national interests.
Thank you for having me. My name is Liz Jackson. I am a content creator, digital strategist, and a corporate MC.
All right, thank you. So we have a powerhouse panel lined up for you to be able to dissect and discuss what's going on in the country. And I'd like to hear opening remarks of your personal views on what's going on right now. We can start with you, Susan.
I think the pressure is just increasing. Yeah, and I feel now there is now a room to listen to the generation that is now behind us. And I'm loving how it's now erupting up, and our government is now styling up and listening now to the people that are going to be left doing now the governance in this country.
Yeah. Okay. CJ?
Yeah. Maybe this is a time not to let go.
Yes.
When you feel somebody submitting or we are getting what we want, it is the time to realize why aren't you able to do it for yourselves? Why are you allowing others to do it? You're the ones who understand exactly what you need. And I think our constitution allows you people to play your political role, not just as influencers, but taking proper leadership position to move this country to the next stage.
Thank you. I think I would rather answer the question of why is what happening rather than what is happening, because what is happening is open to every critical eye. And I think the context of it would be why is what is happening, as Susan has said, the pressure, the nation is at crossroad, and there is a lot of tension both within the government, outside the government. Societies are rattled, leadership is facing critical eye from the counties all the way to the national level. And what is happening currently in Kenya is not new. This is about the 10th generation, what we are calling generation Zoomers. This is about the 10th generation of Kenya as a republic. The first one being the generation that was there in 1895 to when Kenya became a country. Kenya became a country in 1920. And this is the 104th year as a republic. So generations of 10 years have come. Generation Z becoming the 9th or the 10th if you like. And they are responding to challenges. The first generation of Kenya as a country was called Generation Silent, or what they call useless generation, because they do not, they are not known to have contributed anything to the country. And that's around the same time the British arrived in Kenya, annexed the White Highlands, chose the best of our cattle, took our sons as slaves, married our women, and took them for granted, sired children and killed them. And that generation accepted to go and fight the British war in Malaysia, Singapore, Burma, today this country is called Myanmar, and such things. So that generation was just useless. went to fight the First World War, which was not our war, went to fight the second generation, Second World War 1939, which was not our war. So what is happening is when that generation had their own children, their sons, those are the sons who were taken to go and fight. The Dedan Kimathi, his father, Dedan Kimathi was called Dedan Kimathi was Shuri. So the father was Shuri. Shuri had fought in 1914 war up to 1919 World War. So when the son grew up in the absence of his father, he started questioning, why would my father go and fight people who are fighting for themselves? So he was incorporated in Second World War and he accepted. People don't know, but Dedan Kimathi participated in Second World War. But when they returned, they are the one now that are called Rika Rea Forte, generation of the 40s. That was the generation that liberated the country from the white man's shackles. And therefore, when they took over the country, the generation that followed, and we have one of them here, were born that time. They grew up in a country knowing that liberation and struggle work hand in hand to bring equity, equality, and access to resources all the way. So we had a moment of blooming when the country bloomed. The white man is gone, the black man has come, education is expanding, healthcare is being provided, water, blah, 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 blah. But now, the children who are born by those children are saying that things are no longer at peace. The way our resources are being chewed by select few and the vomiting they are doing on their shoes, we can no longer take it because we have no drugs in the hospital. We cannot find jobs, yet we have degrees. We have no country here, literally. Somebody has a watch of $10,000 and he's saying, this is the list of the assets that I own. So GenZ are asking, where is our place? So why are we wasting public resources? So what is happening today is a response of a deep crisis facing the country of dysfunctional government, dysfunctional service delivery, arrogance, abrogation of resources away from its rightful shares. So what is happening today, first of all, I'm not a Gen Z, I am a millennial, and I'm supporting every action that Gen Zs are taking because we are the last cohort of millennial who went to school, studied our degrees, found no job, found a government that is falling. Politics is not working in this country. Unless you are rich, unless you steal, you cannot be elected in any position. So good leaders like you who are fit to rule cannot lead anything because you have no money. You have no money to go and throw out there to people. These are the questions that are there. I am happy you're asking this question, but I also to warn you that because you liberate the country, you will liberate the institutions, your children will find a sorted war and settled circumstances. So they may not be able to do much and they may not be important. I hope they will not be the useless generation.
We go back to
the
40s.
Yes, and that's the most likelihood because you will save the country from this crisis. You will emerge victorious. I am sure you are not going to lose this war. As Cyrus has said, this is not the time to let it go. Don't let it go. Does the pressure increase or decrease?
Increases.
Very good.
I think what we are witnessing right now is we are teaching politicians that they are not untouchable. For the past 2 months, have you had a siren of a politician passing anywhere?
No.
No.
None.
Try. We will get into your car because
And
you're
occupy.
using and occupy your car. We will occupy your car. And
Tutaanguka
if tutaanguka nayo, and if you're using an ambulance, we will open to confirm if patients are in those ambulances. Because right now, majority of the MPs who voted yes, they are nowhere to be seen. So how are they performing? I'm actually supporting that they should be recalled. How are they performing while they are hiding? Yes.
Yeah.
So I think right now politicians, for the very first time, are very scared, and us as Gen Zs, we are not scared either. We will do dialogue, but if it involves insults here and there, you have to take them. I think the president came to the X space and his communication specialist was saying, when you're talking to the president, be a little bit, respectful. He's here to listen. But we're like, no. We will talk to you the best way we know how to talk to you because you have to listen. We will not come here pretend, make our English attractive, because you're the president. No, you're just like us. It's just that our money has put you where you are right now, so you have to serve us. Yeah, so I think right now we are putting politicians in their right spaces. Like right now, I would dare the president to go outside this country. I dare him. I dare him.
You're going for the seat.
You're holding the president hostage in his own country.
Yes. How can you be flying after every 2 minutes? Are you
Yeah,
a flight
he's very
attendant?
scared. Yeah,
Is
he's
the
very
president a
scared
flight
to go.
attendant? Is he a pilot? So why is he flying after every 2 minutes?
You
need
guys
to
have called him air hostess.
Yeah, unless he's
something
you
else.
know, he's passionate about being a flight attendant or a pilot. He should maybe switch careers and become a pilot if he wants to fly out every 2 minutes. So he
Yeah.
needs to sit in State House and work for the people.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. Let's talk about the movement that has been happening the past 1 month and how Gen Zs have come together for what we are calling a revolution, is what people are calling it. And a lot of people don't understand, and I'm sure the three of you don't understand how people are able to mobilize in hundreds of thousands in all cities in the country to be able to fight for their civic right. So I think let's talk about the history of what happened and then talk about now. Let's go back to 1992, CJ. Tell us your secret. How did you mobilize the youth to be able to, and how do you think it's different now?
First of all, the idea of Youth for CAD 92 was not my idea. It is a few friends who called me, invited me for a drink at Norfolk. I had a chat. They knew I was in construction, and I was handling 2 projects that belonged to President Moi, the late, personally. One of them was he was building a canteen for Kenya High School. I did it. And then he was building Moi Educational Center. I also did it. So when they approached me and they said, okay, fine, why don't we get together and see how to help President Moi and use the same opportunity to take over Kanu as young people. So we had 2 intentions. One is that period for us now to get into really politics by taking over Kanu, because it was not possible to win an election those years if you are not in Kanu. And it's at the same time when the one-party rule had come to an end. So Kanu was still quite organized across the country. The new parties that came in, the first one was Ford, then it split into Ford Kenya and Ford Asili. And then the other thing that really gave us motivation to help Moi, the actual people who came to find those parties had been in government with Moi for a very long time. And we were wondering, if they are coming up to set up an opposition party, what difference will they bring? They have been with Moi all through, to the level of vice president, the levels of serious ministers. So we said the only thing we can do is to go and support Moi and take over Kanu, and then get into leadership ourselves. So I put together a team of 23 young men. We are not 20, we're just 23. But I looked at ability to move. You are able, you have a car, you can drive, you can go to places, you can talk to other young people. Can youth of then were those known to be in tatters, the red uniform, and most of them very old and torn, waiting for a few coins from the politicians. We said, let's go in as a young businessman and take over this thing. And somehow it gained traction. And we went around the country and managed to change the whole thing. I personally never intended to go into politics because after Moi won, I was nominated. I was made a minister, but I refused. My nomination, I gave it to Moses Wetangula. That's how Wetangula entered into politics. And I said, I'm a businessman. I want to do business. I didn't know what would befall me thereafter, because it was war, serious war. In 97, I found myself now getting into active politics. Not because I wanted to do politics, but to protect myself. I needed to have a voice to talk. Literally, you have a loan of 300 million, building Hazina Estate, building Saike Estate, those are estates I was building. And it is recalled, you are given 24 hours to pay those loans. So literally, the banks will take over your estates, and the government will take over. Now, this is when I started understanding, if you want to understand politics properly, follow the money. They knew the game. They knew this man maybe is generating too much money. Tomorrow he might be a problem to us. And the fact that some of the fellas I trusted had leaked out to people like the late Nicholas Biwott, George Saitoti, that the strategy here is to come and take over Kanu. My purpose was to raise money and fund. And when Moi was making a cabinet, it was so delayed because I had some influence on him, the fact that we had saved him.
Yeah.
So I insisted, no, you are going to take a younger man to be the vice president so that you groom this generation to take over. He did agree. So, of course, I proposed to Musalia, he was a friend of mine. But then the constitution then could not allow you to be a deputy president or a president if you're under 35.
Yeah.
That is how Musalia ended up with the Minister of Finance, replacing the actual kingpins of Moi government. And that started my war. And I can assure you it's not an easy war. I fought it for very many years. Up to now, I'm still fighting some of those wars. So as you move forward, you'll meet a lot of challenges. You'll find one of you have a naughty case. You'll be told you're a rapist, and for sure you have never raped. You'll be told you did what, and you've never done it.
Yeah.
And that game goes on and on. I remember one time, and not far off, I made a comment. I said, you know, I don't accept anything William Ruto says.
Yeah.
Because I know the attitude and the intent is not to provide leadership. The attitude and intent is something else. But I agree with one thing he says, and I was telling some big boys somewhere, that this country does not belong to two families. It belongs to Kenyans.
Yeah.
And the following day, I was in court. I stole a plot in 92. Somebody's company. This is a property I had bought from somebody.
Yeah.
And instead of buying, him doing the transfer, I bought the company. So what did they do? They went to Sharia House then, before it was digitalized, and removed all the transfers into my name of the company, and put there the documents, when photocopies actually, because all the originals I had them, when the previous owner owned that property. And they went to police and said, you know, 20-something, 28 or 27 years ago, I lost my company, and I lost my title, I lost all certificates. And I'm in the office, 27 police officers came to take me to court. So I went to court. Of course you deny, you say, no, I didn't do that. But remember, 28 years ago, for you to find proof, and they have changed, the CR12 shows you are not a director. It's a very complicated matter.
It is.
And that is politics.
Yeah.
So I had to go back, wrote to Barclays Bank before it became ABSA. I know I had paid 10 million from there. I wrote to National Bank. I knew I had paid the balance of 10 million from there. And it took them about 4 months to trace the records. So fortunately, I bumped into the agreement we had signed. By then, I've already taken a plea. So I had to go to the Supreme Court and say, you know, these are the papers. Why was I paying him 20 million if I wasn't buying? So out of that, the court said, you know, 28 years, you have lost your title and you've lost your company and you don't remember. You remember 28 years later. That's how I was let off the hook. So you'll expect a lot of things will happen to you. And the day you get scared, that's the time they win.
Please repeat that again, sir.
That's the time they win.
I love it.
So if the spirit is for the good of the country, good things never die. You'll carry on. Our intention was to take over Kanu. We ended up taking it over. That is how Uhuru became a candidate. Because those days Uhuru was a youth.
Yeah.
And the war, we sustained it to the end. There are times we were managing Moi. Jirongo, you must be in State House at 6 in the morning. William Ruto come in at 11. Julius Sunkuli come in over lunch hour. Uhuru come in the afternoon. Gideon Moi, you go to the house and make sure that these guys don't convince him otherwise. We must take this thing. That's how it happened. So you must be prepared to work.
Love that. You can shed light, because I think what he said, with the challenges he's faced, and he's still fighting the war.
Yeah.
You were in the last elections with Azimio, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So there are a lot of people who've been abducted. Let's go there first before we go back to 92. There are a lot of people who've been abducted. There are a lot of people who've been threatened. All right, so that the momentum can slow down. Let's talk about that. What's your opinion on that? Have you received any threats? Have you?
Every time I hear my door knock, I think twice. I peep. Is it the caretaker? If it is someone I do not recognize, the first thing I do is take my phone and go live, because I feel that this government is in denial, and they have sort of a poverty mentality. They do not believe that digital activism is real.
Yeah.
They cannot understand how people with no leader can say, let's meet on Tuesday, and it happens. Yes. Wherever Raila Odinga is, he's shook, because demonstrations happened without his command. He's shook. So there is so much confusion, and the government being in denial, now they go online and check, oh, she tweets a lot, it gets engagement, let's get her. She posts on Instagram, people engage, let's get her. Because if you look at all these abductions that are happening, they're happening to influencers. Because now to them, they think these influencers are the leaders. So now they are targeting influencers and anyone who is very vocal online, which is very wrong. And then again, this government is very barbaric, because there are procedures that should be followed when someone is being arrested. I want to understand what police officers are arresting people at 3 a.m. wearing masks. They do not identify themselves. The president was asked, please give an explanation as to why people are being arrested at 3 a.m. He's there like, oh, it happened. You pretend, you sent these people at 3 a.m. to go and abduct people. You're here on live TV pretending that you're surprised. But you knew, he knows. So I feel like the whole government should stop being in denial. This is happening. We do not have a leader. And they should stop targeting influencers especially. And what I love about the Gen Zs is we are not shaken. If someone goes missing, if you do not hear from someone for 3-4 hours, we go vocal. Yeah. So when we lose our fear, they lose their power.
That's good.
I want to talk about Ruto the liar. There's a story from back in CJ's time of him lying to you as a first boss about t-shirts. All right? Lying to the public just before the elections about Uhuru's government, and lying on television about deaths. You were in the government. What's your opinion on that?
First of all, thank you, and very good comments from you, my panelists there. First of all, let me take this moment to say very profound condolences to the families that have lost their children in this struggle since it started. Very much painful. I also think the nation is at shock over this weekend, because some bodies continue to be retrieved in dump site somewhere in Dandora.
Yeah.
This one is also very shocking to the nation, and this is going to unveil in ways that neither the government nor us understand, because this is huge. People have been cut into pieces, thrown into sacks, then dumped in a dump site. This is unprecedented.
So it's
and I think we wish in this show to condemn it in the strongest terms possible. And we are asking, this is not a requesting, we are asking that the government expedite this matter. And when I say the government, currently there is no cabinet secretary for interior. So I'm not talking to the cabinet secretary. There is no IG of police substantively in office because he resigned yesterday. We are asking the president, because he's in office, to expedite this matter. Form a commission of inquiry immediately. Investigations to be given to people who can conduct this outside the country. We could think of FBI, we could think of Scotland Yard, we could think of people who can do this without bias, because those bodies are still suspected to be more under
today 5 bodies have been recovered.
Exactly, and more are coming up as we hold this show. So I think in that disused quarry, we would want answers provided. Families that have lost these children, we continue to say we feel you, we are part of the struggle. We understand the losing of a son, the losing of a daughter, the losing of a father, because some of these Gen Zs also have fathers, and some of the girls also are mothers, young mothers and young fathers. We pray for the families that have lost as a show, as a Savage Politics. We pray that they get consoled by the mercies of the Almighty God. Now, coming to your question, I have studied political science in the university as much as I have studied law. So I've been in the university twice to study 2 different degrees. In politics, we say, in politics, perception is reality. But in literature, perception is not reality. There is reality in literature, and there is
perception.
Perception is not true, is unreal. But in politics, what people think about Cyrus becomes a reality of what people think. What people think about the president, as you have just asked, they think that he lies. The public thinks he's a liar. Gen Zs cannot be convinced otherwise. So when it comes to the president defending himself against the perception that he's a liar, the only way to defeat a perception in politics is to act true, not to tell the truth, to act true, act against it, denounce it by action. So I think the president is taking good lessons from you guys. The last thing, which I think now in government, you asked me, I was in government, how is this done? When there is an issue that generates public traction, the first thing that the government should do is not to deny. It is important to put it that way, because the people, some of them have been fired by the president, which is also a good thing. I think he did well to dismiss the cabinet. I think to deny of an existing phenomenon in politics is wrong. A good politician and an honest leader does not deny. You cannot deny, as she has said, that they are living in denial. You can't deny that something is happening. The truth of the matter is that something is happening in our society. People should listen to Philip Lakidube in his song, when there was apartheid in Africa, in South Africa, that something quite is happening. We may not understand it, but something is happening. We are in the same place in Kenya. Something is happening in Kenya. We may not put a word or put a leader or put a specific word onto, but something is happening everywhere. Things are happening that we cannot understand today, but we are blinded by the actions of Generation Z. But there is a deep cry for the motherland, for inclusive, extensive renewal of our society. Those things are happening, and the government that is there may not be able to understand, may not be able to midwife what is the new Kenya that is coming, but there should be an effort coming from the people whom we have entrusted, the parliament, the judiciary, and the executive. Of course, now executive is totally emasculated by the resignation of, rather by the firing of AG and the cabinet secretaries. But there should be a form of empathy. This is what I'm trying to say. There should be empathy, and there should be understanding. The Generation Z are raising valid points. They are not fighting in blindness. They are saying, we want medicine in hospital, number 1. Number 2, we want free, fair, accessible education for all. We want professional doctors and nurses employed. They are saying we want young people given jobs. And how are these jobs coming? 1, fire the incompetent. The people who are serving in government, who have faked papers, They should leave for the people who have papers.
And Gachagua said it in a press conference, I remember, suggesting it, but couldn't name people because some of them were behind him.
First of all, brother, in a serious show where intellectuals are sitting, Gachagua should not be mentioned. He does not deserve a mention in such a table because he is the beginning of the problem. When younger people of his age were fighting Moi out of power, Gachagua was the errand boy for Moi to go and do things that we know already. It is in history. If Generation Z are serious about transforming Kenya, they should not even mention Gachagua in their turn.
Okay,
right?
Got it.
Very good.
Thank you. Susan, what's your thoughts?
Okay, for me, what I can say is when we voted in Ruto, we voted in Ruto because he promised us so many things.
You voted for him?
And I'll just say it clearly, I did because he was very sure of what he was putting on the table for us, and even for the youth. That is going to reduce the unemployment and a lot of things that the mama bongas and all that. And then we were told they will be having the pesa mfukoni, and a shock on us. It's the government that he brought in. We could even feel on our fingertips, as in we are being, they are stealing. I was telling some guys there, like, do you know this government of Ruto, wanaiba to a point we can even feel it on our fingertips, and even we don't have. And the reason why, the reason why we are complaining is we don't have hiyo pesa mfukoni. The regime of Kibaki, you could not see Mama Bonga just going out there because at least they had some money in their pocket. And even the youth could not see such things. But what I can respond is he has become muongo. He's a liar. And that is what we have seen, and that's why we are coming out. And he has realized, and I can see him doing the right thing. Now he has fired the entire cabinet. And we are not going to be sorry to tell him that the Generation Z and the Millennial are ready to take the positions, and they are going to. He's going to be very proud. And he might not know. Maybe we can even save him to go to the next term. I don't know, because the generation that is here is you say it, you do it, you know,
and you show it,
you know? So we are ready, and the CV, my CV is ready
for any seat.
For any seat, and probably you'll see we are going to work.
Which ministry would you want?
I think I'll go for the youth and the sport, the Babuna Mwamba one. There was some luxury. A lot of jokes around there for the youth, and I feel them, the activists, and I'm in that space.
All right, CJ, I have a question for you, and this might be a bit too personal, right? Ruto lied to you many years ago, and you discovered that he robbed you of nearly 1 million shillings. And
1 million of them.
Yes, of them. And him and his friend came to you for a mentorship position. He said, Sir CJ, please mentor Ruto for politics in the future. And I remember you said in a past interview you were very reluctant, but you agreed. And you mentored him, you're the first boss. You showed him the ins and outs of politics, and then he dumped you, went to maybe someone else, went to Raila, dumped him, went to Uhuru, dumped him. But the thing is, it started from you. So, do you think we should blame you? Are you proud of the decision that you made that day? And is Ruto a liar?
Those are tough questions, because one, we are talking about the President of the Republic of Kenya. All I could do is to tell Kenyans I know his attitude. Remember, thoughts are things. the way you think, is what you do. And my clear statement that I don't see William pushing this country to the next level. Instead, it will be too retrogressive. I said it, not because of anything personal, but at that time everyone said maybe I'm feeling jealousy that he worked under me and now he's going to be president. And you people came up with a slag when to Pangwingwi. So I watched because really I tried to respond and said, you can admire Nelson Mandela because you want a legacy. Why would I admire or feel jealous about something that I know very well there will be no legacy? But there was no listening. The cheapest thing as you grow up, as you interact, is just be truthful. It is very cheap because nobody will reprimand you tomorrow. But if you think you're the most intelligent and you can always come up with crafty stories and get where you want to go, it will catch up with you. William has reached where he has reached by the sword. And so that's why he's coming down by the sword. It started with me. He turned against President Moi, who he used very effectively. He used Raila, turned against Raila very effectively. He used Uhuru because of the community Uhuru comes from to get into that slot where it is easier now to climb to the presidency. And he just turned against Uhuru. So to him, he had a right. Little did he know that when you don't live truthfully, it will catch up with you. And my advice to you, you say your CV is ready. This is just another Titanic. It's an iceberg waiting in the deep oceans. It will crash. Because unless there is total mental shift, unless there is deep soul searching, and you repent by doing what is correct, because all that has happened is intentional. And if you have not convinced yourself you want to do the right thing for a country, and that you want to use a country to certain ends, you will still go back to the same where you are. And I don't know how to gauge complete repentance and say my attitude and intentions of taking power must change. Now it has to be to develop this country. And that is so difficult to find out from a human being that you let time tell the truth. Time will show you another 1 year from now. I'm praying that William Ruto finishes his term successfully. But those that are going to board might be their end also, just as the other fellas who've been sacked. So as an upcoming leader, it is important to remain honest to yourself. You'll go through a lot of difficulties. You'll be broke, you'll lack food, you'll beg for fuel. But there is one thing you do. You sleep very well. Because you did not spend the day crafting on how you are going to cheat Kenyans or how you are going to cheat your constituency. You didn't. So you sleep comfortably. Sometimes you might think money matters, but sometimes money is a disease in itself. Particularly the way you are quiet. Of course, everybody hates poverty. In fact, it's a sin. Nobody wants to look at you when you're poor. It is good to be very rich and work hard and earn it. But when your design for being rich is crooked, that's where the problem starts. And I can't assure you that whatever William wanted to achieve, he has achieved, and therefore, with his new system, things are going to change. The issues of t-shirts, I don't look at them as anything, because I remember when we were young children ourselves, because I was a very young man, we would steal sugar, put it behind, and walk, still with our hands behind, and your mother is seeing you, you still think you are hiding it. So that is a story of a young man trying to get established, and all of us make mistakes. So that I really don't hold against anybody. There are times you stole sugarcane from your neighbor because it is sweet. Basically, you are looking for something that tastes sweet. So that is not the child that will evolve if he has an opportunity to change. And I think anybody can change, irrespective of age. There must be a total paradigm shift in the mentality of one President William Ruto. Unless there's a total paradigm shift in his thoughts about leadership and the intentions of taking leadership, we are doomed as a country. Those are my remarks.
Dissolving the cabinet. Personally, I think it's him applying oil on our backs just to show us that he's listening, but he's truly not, in my opinion. And is it a step towards the right direction, or is it him making us lose focus by showing us one thing that we have told him to do?
I told you that it's very difficult to know whether somebody has changed completely. Time will tell. And I think it's only fair you give him an opportunity to see has he changed. But that doesn't mean you go to sleep. It means you now work much more smartly. You start getting organized. This country belongs to you. Take it. Why are you scared of being president, being woman rep, being MP, being MCA? You qualify. And all of you know the crux of the matter are two. One, inclusivity, but the bigger one is economics. The third, which can be managed, is wastage and corruption. Generating wealth requires a bit of creativity. Somebody tells me we have a debt, and that's why this country is not moving to the next stage. We have assets. When you have a debt, you sell an asset and pay the debt. If you are farming and the farming cannot pay that debt, it's basic. I'll name an asset that they are wasting today. Carbon assets are sovereign. Today, you don't know what is happening to the carbon assets of this republic. Somebody is given a certain area, take off. Somebody is allocated, take off with it. We don't know. There's no account for it. I can tell you, if I quantified the carbon assets of the Republic of Kenya, HSBC has $3 trillion to lend on carbon assets. That's an asset that I can pledge and pay off all the debts, and I don't have to suffocate Kenyans with taxes. Yeah. And don't tell me that William Ruto is not capable of thinking that. He is capable. Why is he not doing it? The intent to be a leader was not for the prosperity of the nation. The intent was different. And that's why I'm saying he requires a total paradigm shift for this country, or for him even to survive the next 3 years. And the boarding is too dangerous. You might be boarding a Titanic just to crash. Your political life ends there because you thought, I've gotten an opportunity. That opportunity is messed up with from morning up to evening. And you can't move. I've been hit so much. I think you need to look at when you were conceding as Kanu, that we have been defeated by Kibaki. I don't want to go into the details of what happened, because it's another war I fought beyond a war. And when we were outside Serena and we are conceding defeat, if you look at my hand very carefully, it actually was a fist. And look at the man who was on my left, Nicholas Biwott. I was almost hitting him. The amount of insults he was hurling at me for having convinced the late President Moi to hand over power to Kibaki, you couldn't take it. If you look at my hand, I was just almost blowing him off. So it is not an easy journey. It is a journey you will jump into it, think you have succeeded, but you'll be mad all over. You'll do things, Susan, nobody will want to touch you the rest of your life, and yet you didn't do it. That would be my advice.
Is what do you think? Is the dissolving the cabinet just a show, or what do you think?
I think, first of all, the right definition for Ruto is tumbo lisilo shiba. He never gets full.
Yeah.
So, like I said, he's still in denial, and he thinks akitulambisha sukari hivi, you'll be like, oh yes, thank you for listening to us. But it's just the beginning. We know him. He's a butcher from Sugoi. We know him very well. And one thing we really cannot forgive our parents is trusting someone who was at the International Criminal Court. That was the first red flag we had. And maybe our parents love the red color, so they ignored it. But that was a very big red flag. Like someone who has a criminal case and then they come and they manipulate you into thinking that they have changed. I don't think such a person can change. And let him not think that these corrections that he's making, we are going to slow down. It is his responsibility. He's not doing us a favor. It is his responsibility.
What do you think?
Let me put it this way: in the view of Gen Zs, he has conceded one of your goals, because you guys went to the streets together with us millennials and said, we do not want anything in that cabinet. Dissolve it. Yeah. Don't reshuffle. Yeah. Because there was a rumors in the beginning that he was going to reshuffle. Yeah. But he didn't reshuffle. Yeah. He dissolved. Yeah. So in fair terms, you scored against him. Number two, Gen Zs then went ahead to say, our children have been kidnapped, killed, and others are missing.
IG.
Fire the IG. The guy is gone.
Yeah.
So 2-0. The game is now at 2-0, isn't it? So I think, in fairness, because
I think it's 2-1, and it started at 1-0. 1-0.
By calling you criminals?
No, yeah, by him killing people on the streets.
Yeah, but no, you didn't demand him. It is you. He didn't demand to kill you. You are the one who demanded that those who killed you go. Yeah. So you are the one who has won, not him, because he would not have. I mean, the policemen who killed these young people were doing that in the name of the republic, in the name of him, as a president to defend him. Yeah. So the fact that they are gone, who has lost? Is him and them, not you people. So you have won in this matter. And I'm saying, as a Gen Z, I think if I was to look at things objectively, Gen Zs have scored 2 in the net, he has scored 0. Okay. So the third thing they're asking, which they want him to do, is in the list of things that are endless. And what they're saying is simple. The people who have been fired as CSs, go after their wealth. Isn't it? So now we are waiting for that one to see whether he can concede. Because if Murkomen is fired and Moses Kuri is fired, they were fired because of mischiefs that have brought us here. Eating government money, showing opulence. We would want actually that watch for Murkomen, 900,000 brought, auctioned in a public market. That money brought to a certain school where the people are suffering, and we should see that money, basically. Okay? So Gen Zs are asking for that. Now, as a political analyst, my answer to your question now will be different. What do I think about the reshuffle, or rather the dismissal? This is what I think. It is not the act of firing the CSs that impressed me. No, it is the intention of those who come in that I will study. The people who will replace those who have gone will tell me whether he was right in firing or if he was wrong. Because he can bring far much worse than this. Or he can bring the same. He can return the same. But if he bring people who are willing to work with the track record, new faces, people who have had there been, because again, Gen Zs, if you remember, if you started at Gen Z's demands, something came up in the midst of these 2 weeks of deadly protests. They had a person they identified that they would want to see back in public service. And who was that?
Who does?
They said Matiang'i, right? They also said Mutahi Kagwe, right? So those are not Gen Zs. Those are baby boomers like our friend here.
Yes.
Okay, but why did they mention them? Because they can study what they did when they were in those offices. The actions that literally took, like ending examination leakages and examination stealing, it was a good act.
Yeah.
So they say this is a man who he had the mind of Gen Z.
Yeah.
Mutahi Kagwe managing health crisis in a time when all of us had been immobilized by COVID.
It's true.
The things he used to speak, things he used to say, the way he dealt with this pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, people are saying, if you treat this thing normally, it will treat you
abnormally.
Yeah, so my Gen Zs were very happy at home.
Yeah.
They were seeing, oh, this guy seems to be doing what. So what I'm saying is, the reforms that Gen Zs are looking for are not necessarily going to be delivered by Gen Zs. No, they are going to be delivered by people who understand the problems of Gen Zs and Gen Zs themselves too. I'm not saying that they should not go into cabinet. I'm of the idea.
Personally, who would you recommend for any CSs? Yeah,
right now I've not thought about it, but obviously if we do another show I'll tell you. But I would think out of 22 CSs, because the constitution says the CSs must be between 14 to 22, not less than 14, not more than 22. I suppose you can make them 18. Uhuru Kenyatta made 19. Uhuru Kenyatta was a president who consistently worked with the 19 CSs. Never went to the minimum 14, never went after the maximum 22.
Exactly.
So he functioned with 19. I think Ruto should function with 18. Okay? Out of these 18, my honest opinion is that there should be Gen Zs are now people born in 95. The oldest Gen Z is now from 95 to 24 is 25. 29. The oldest Gen Z is 29. Honestly, I would want to see two. Honestly, to be honest, I would, because there are people who are exceptional. There are exceptional Gen Zs in this country. Others even have PhDs. Others have done good work, content creation, speaking for issues that happen in the country, going forward. I was given a job when I was 31 by the president as an assistant minister. Okay, so I went to the Ministry of Education and really ruffled feathers because I could feel my generation. I did things that would help my generation, not my mother's generation. I didn't care. Okay, but things that would help my people, generation people, and that was about skilling the young people. TVET everywhere in this country bears my marks. Okay, because this is where young people can get a course. You become a plumber, ukona kibarua hapa kule, you become a salonist, you are able to make hair like she goes is looking nice and good. That girl has earned some money. You are able to do some cosmetics, these things. So people, whether you have gone to school, whether you have gone to the university or whatever, you can do something that can change your life. Lastly, we were able to transition a lot of labor. Because we had an agreement, we signed agreement with Canada, we signed agreement with the East African community, we signed with the AU to say young people who have skills, because Kenya is a very literate country. By the way, I have to tell you that Gen Zs, Kenya is one of the highest rated literate country. Literate meaning that many people have gone to school. Unlike other countries like Burundi, countries like South Africa, Kenya has gone, courtesy of who? Nyinyi Gen Zs kwanza, you should thank Kibaki. Because Kibaki made education free, primary. So all Gen Zs have gone to school for free.
Exactly.
Okay. Then Uhuru came and made secondary education free for days. Then Gen Zs wakaingia pale. And then when Uhuru was leaving, we said TVET should be free. So we made a lot of money for TVET. And usome, ujue kutengeneza stima, ujue kutengeneza maji, ujue kutengeneza gari, ujue tu biashara twako. Uhuru really put money with Kibaki on businesses. Pesa ya vijana kukuja kufanya biashara yako, then you pay that money. But hata hii maneno ya hustle fund is nonsense. Those things that used to happen before were structured and young people worked very well. So what I'm saying is that the reshuffle, rather the dismissal of cabinet is a good step, but a good idea must always give way to a better one. Okay? So the cabinet that comes in must win the confidence of Gen Zs. It must look like, as she's saying, that umesikia na kweli umesikia hujaleta wakora. Then after that, Gen Zs must also go for members of parliament. If we have thugs in this country, they are in parliament. If we have, sorry this word, but if we have idiots, they are there. Anything that comes, even if it is killing people, they pass it. All they need to do is to be bribed. You go for it, and this is where Gen Z should be ready. Kiti ya MP, and I like what CJ keeps telling me here. Kiti ya MP haifai kupewa baby boomers. Kiti ya MP haifai kupewa Generation X. These are for millennials and Gen Zs. Tusikie kuna mbuga wa Kabete. Mbuga wa Kiambaa, kuna, where do you come from? Constituency.
Mukurweini is
Mukurweini, yes, but city, in the city where do you live? Which constituency?
Langata.
Langata. You become MP for Langata.
Yeah.
Go there regardless of where you are born.
Yeah.
Speak about the laws, speak about the policies, and speak about the future. I will finish by saying there was a man who was very old who was voted in Kibaki's government, 2002, MP for Olkarau. Okay? That man was called Muriuki Karwe. He was fairly old. I think he's baby boomers, the firstborns of baby boomers. He was an old man. But he came into parliament in 2002, that was about 8th parliament, and changed the way the things are done by introducing one law that was called CDF Act. MPs did not know how to change schools, did not know how to improve things. He said every MP should have some money specifically for schools. CDF has been in existence for 24 years, which has been doing 20 years, has been doing work in constituencies, helping MPs improve the schools, build classes, build laboratories, pay for board teachers, such things that are good law. Kibaki, Mechuki came in around the same time as an MP for Kangema, legislated a law that let us humanize public transport. So, to Weke Mishipi, I think you guys had not been born or are not big enough to know, Kunagadi, public transport was a mess. A 14-seater would carry 30 people. Munapangwa kama gunia. I remember my mother going with me to the market to buy ndoma. Those tumatatu unakaa hivi, watu wanakaa 10 hapa, wengine 10 hapa. The others are planned in such a manner you stand like a C. Ukaa hivi kwa matatu, ndio sasa kukuje mwingine hapa, na yeye akaa hivyo mwingine awekwe pale. And there were a lot of casualties that time. One man changed things. And today, compliance may be poor, but in a matatu of 14, at least you can't find 20.
Yeah.
You will find wakienda sana 16.
Yeah.
Na mtu anafunga mshipi.
Yeah.
So if a cabinet secretary will be appointed in this, hata tusikie ni Jirongo, of course he's not going to be appointed because he doesn't like it. But let's assume Jirongo is appointed the cabinet secretary. In the coming cabinet, assume he's the one there and say mishipi lazima ifungwe. Then people live in dignity because a belt can save your life, isn't it? So I think what he said before is that the intention of leadership is much more important than the leadership. Kwa sababu sio tu kupata kiti unaweza pata bwana. Kiti ya kuwa rais, even murderers have become presidents in the world. Drug dealers have become presidents in the world. Teachers have become woodcutters. What you do with that seat is all that defines your legacy. The legacy is a very important thing for any president. We remember Kibaki for his legacy.
True,
we remember Uhuru for his legacy. Vitu unaona, kuna leri, kuna barabara. Everywhere, people, actually Gen Z used to say, everywhere you go in the country is a construction site.
Yeah.
Almost everywhere kuna barabara, kuna nini. Those things we must treasure. So for Gen Zs, I ask them to continue being objective, to continue maintaining the price, their eyes at the price. What do you want, guys? Don't be compromised, okay? Do not accept to take something less. But also, when your enemy does something good, be sure to appreciate it, okay? Like, if Ruto is going to do few things that you guys want, appreciate it until the right time when constitutionally we can remove him from power through the ballot.
That's my next question.
Yes.
Hashtag Ruto must go.
Yes.
Your opinion.
As a lawyer and as a political analyst, shortly, I'll say this. Ruto must go is very nice, okay? But the question should be, if he goes, who takes over?
Gachagua.
Is that what you want? To be honest, is that what Gen Zs want? No. Very good. Definitely. I haven't met anybody who want, including myself.
Yeah.
So if Ruto must go, leaves you with Gachagua must come. Is that what you want? No, nobody in this country. By the way, including the dead. If you go to Langata Cemetery in the middle of the night and you say Gachagua president, what watamuka? All those people lying there dead will rise up and say, no, let's go down. So I don't think that's what we want. So legally we must also say, if Ruto must go, what are the options? If Ruto going leaves Gachagua and that's not what we want, then let's be tactical. Then you say both must
go.
Okay? If both goes through popular uprising, what happens to the country? Who takes over?
Speaker.
No. Popular uprising, Speaker does not take over. Speaker takes over when there has been an impeachment.
Okay.
That's a legal process.
Yeah.
What takes over?
The people.
The military. Okay? To stabilize. So do we want the military to take over in this country?
That's crazy.
Legally, that's not what we want.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if we do not want the military to take over and Gachagua to take over, what options have we been left with?
Him stay.
Let us get him out 2027 through the ballot. But before he goes out, can we use him to expedite far-reaching reforms? Yes. You can work with your enemy to avoid, to achieve some things. Or after amemaliza, unaanguka?
Anguka nayo. Susan, Ruto must go. You voted for Ruto. Ruto must go.
I voted for Ruto, but after sitting down and just analyzing on what the lawyer has just told us is who takes him? Is it Gachagua? Do we want that? No, we don't want that. Who else is going to take is the military. The military that was just massacring our children. As in, they even have no mercy, you know. And the only thing I know is everybody can change, just like our Mheshimiwa Jirongo is saying, that everybody can change. And I'm sure that we have pushed Ruto to the corner as the GenZs, and we are not going to stop. We are still going to push. The only thing is on the dissolving of the cabinet is what I feel is like he has just applied some oil on us to calm things down.
Massage.
Yeah, he has massaged us. But I've not seen this CS being angry or something, so I don't know what
deal has been made.
Was there.
Yeah.
And if I can analyze it a little bit, is you know what monkey see, monkey do. So right now we are asking, now we want our money back, right? That was stolen by the CS. And if we want it back, so they will like go to Ruto, you know, we were doing this business and all that. So there must be a deal that has happened, and he's playing it low, because he also knows that as much as we have put him on a corner, we don't have an option. We have to work with him. We have to work with him. So what I'll just urge the GenZs and the Millennial is, let's try and work together, but let's not close our eyes. Whatever he does, let's still push. If we don't see it, if he brings somebody like Matiang'i, you know, Matiang'i changed a lot.
Yeah.
We saw so many changes. Like in schools, aungeona basi that is not yellow, and has a black line there, you know. Such changes are the ones we want to see. The cabinet that is going to be coming on board. And for the cabinet that is going to come on board, they will be like, our eyes are going to be on you, like thoroughly.
CJ, Ruto must go.
Before I comment on that, let me maybe talk one or two things on what my friend Zach said. Yes, Kibaki did a good job. Yes, Uhuru did a good job. But there are many more who have really done a lot for this country. Raila went to detention and he's fought very hard. Maybe he has a few weaknesses, which is human. But as far as I'm concerned, he has actually contributed greatly to the democracy that we enjoy today.
Sure.
The girl child, the late President Moi, most of you are not born. He really opened up space for the girl child in this republic. Previously, education was dominated by men only, but Moi waged a war that girls must be given equal opportunity. And today, we're seeing our daughters doing very well. A lot of them are engineers, a lot of them are everywhere. So we have a lot of people who have contributed to this country to get to where it got. And it's only fair that we acknowledge the role played by many, including people like Paul Mwite. They played their role. Martha Karua, corruption is poison and is water and oil. She walked away during Kibaki's government. It doesn't mean there was no corruption in Kibaki's government. It doesn't mean there was no corruption in Uhuru's government. There's a time Uhuru himself said that we lose 2 billion per day on corruption. So the leaders we are talking about also had their weaknesses. We have also very many others who had, who played a critical role in this country and are still playing a critical role in this country. On Ruto must go, in my view, and I've said it, it is possible somebody to change, irrespective of age. And actually I was talking to William when I was talking to you about that. That's the one I was talking to. That your intent to take leadership of the Republic of Kenya must change. When you find an entire cabinet is corrupt, there is something wrong at the top. This is really what I'm trying to say. And I'm saying, we do not want a constitutional crisis out of you leaving power in between. We really want him to finish his term. And there's a possibility of a re-election. If there's complete metamorphosis, if there is complete paradigm shift on the intentions of leadership, what William needs to deal with is, why did I want to be the President of the Republic of Kenya? Did I want to be the President of the Republic of Kenya so that I'm rich like the Kenyatta family? So that I'm rich like the Moi family? If that was the intention, drop it today. You can think properly. These children have no jobs. You are handed over your physical survey report showing all the minerals this country has. You are telling us you're looking for investors. These young men and women are the investors we require. The 50 billion you threw away on a useless thing called Hustler Fund would have set up, if you're gold miners, there's a gold mining machine for $50,000 plus the other equipment for mining and paying professionals to plan the mine for you. You would have started 4,000 young men in serious business, expanding your tax base. So just think seriously. This is really what we are saying. Be honest with yourself that I want to be remembered for having done something for this country. Unless that happens, we are not going anywhere. And therefore, for him to go would create a crisis. Let us give him an opportunity, but thoroughly checked. Every move, everything he does, I hope you have the staying power to follow it up to the end.
It's important I say this, just word on it, so that we also help the audience who will be watching us in this show. When you go into war, you must know why you have gone into war. Otherwise, if you don't know, in the middle of your war, you might be enticed by small things. And I'll give you an analogy. If you have gone into the bush to hunt an antelope, if you do not maintain your eyes into it, the squirrels and the rabbits that will come in your route will be so many. So if you turn into a rabbit because it has come in your face, then you lose the greater war, the greater war of the antelope. So the antelope here that Gen Zs want is complete transformation of our nation to serve all of us. To get jobs for those who have gone to school and those who haven't, to reform agriculture and feed the nation wholly. Because a hungry nation cannot make a decision. That is why we have politicians whom we call tubocrats. Because they go, steal, eat, and then bring money for us to eat. So what do we want? Gen Zs, when they say Ruto must go, this is my advice to them, and also millennials and the entire country. Ruto must go is a good clarion call for change. And they must not drop it. Hashtag Ruto must go must continue. But as a person who is the president now, he can go. These inches in here to this water. But if he goes, what is there? It is important for us now to decide and say, if he goes today, these are the options. And legally, I have told you, if you maintain pressure today, my brothers and my sister, and then you occupy the state house, the only thing Ruto will do, he will call the CDF, ask for the chopper, then he will jump, and then he can go out of the country. Once he goes out of the country, there will be chaos because you will go for the deputy, you will go for the CJ, Chief Justice, you will go for the ministers, you will go for all these offices. then what happens? Before you know,
It's
our
chaos.
country falls into
chaos.
disorder. We become a country of war. Then people start saying, hapana, Wakikuyu ndio walileta issue, hapana, Wakalenjin ndio walileta issue, hapana, Waluhya ndio walileta
Tribalism
issue.
comes.
Then we will start fighting amongst ourselves. So the first option of saying Ruto must go has three options. One is that one for chaos. When chaos now comes in, this is when you see now the tanks leaving the barracks. Then they'll come and occupy power. It has happened in Egypt. It has happened in Libya. It has happened in countries that we can tell. Even in the latter day here, what happened with the military is that the military in Egypt, Kenya, Egyptians started saying, Mohammed Morsi must go. No, was he called Mohammed Morsi? No, the other one who was there, Mubarak. Hosni Mubarak must go. Hosni Mubarak must go. Simu zikatolewa. Everybody came with the vote. Hosni must go. Then Hosni in State House saw his nephews in the streets saying Hosni must go. And he's your nephew, children of your sister and your brother, as it was happening here. When people occupied parliament in Kenya, many MPs saw their children in the streets. Kuna
I saw my daughter at parliament.
That is it. He saw his daughter.
Really?
Saying occupy parliament. Yes. Three of the MPs. Saying GenZ. Hamna mchezo. Mlianguka nayo kabisa. Let me tell you, my brother. Two MPs told me, alifungua simu, akaona WhatsApp. Mtoto yake ako University of Nairobi pursuing law. Tuko na yeye tunamaliza Kenya School of Law. Akaona msichana wake anamtumia. Anamwambia, "Hey dad, leo nakuja kwa ofisi yako." I think he has never taken the daughter to the office, to the parliament to see where the guy works. Leo nakukujia kwa ofisi na tutaonana huko ndani. The guy knew the thing was not a joke. It was a serious thing. So when when Mubarak saw the daughters in the street, he realized that it is no longer a joke. What happened? They occupied Kairu, removed the Hosni Mubarak government. Then there was chaos. What happened? The military came in from the barracks. Then they occupied power. What happened? Wananchi wakasema, no, we don't want the military. Same as we would say here. We don't want the military. Military must go. So tumesema Ruto must go menda. Military must go. Military must go. So military went back to the barracks. And then the head of the military resigned and said there will be elections in 90 days and I will contest. Akawacha uniform na bunduki. He came into the elections and won. He is a president today. He is called Fatal El-Sisi. He is a president today, but he was the head of the military in Egypt. It is possible even here to extend the military rule into politics, and that is why we don't want our politics to be militarized. So GenZs, wakisema Ruto must go, let us also retreat, okay? Because we have choices. Either military takes over, or there is chaos, or Naisabwa takes over. Because if you impeach both, this is the problem now. Because there is a route. If you can impeach Gachagua under Article 146 and Ruto, it is possible. We impeach them. So who will impeach them is the parliament, isn't it? And I believe parliament can impeach them because of the pressure of GenZs. So if they impeach him, what happens? The law says the speaker takes over for 60 days and prepares an election. Okay? Now, if speaker takes over and prepare election for 60 days, who presides the election?
IBC.
Do we have an IBC?
No.
This is what we must tell GenZs. We are together, but we must also be wiser as younger and as elder brothers. Mimi na Susan, we are millennials. We must tell our Gen Z brothers and sisters, the war is okay, but you don't fight like a blind man, okay? Because that you should be taken down. So because we don't have IBC, and we do not want Gachagua, and we don't want the military, what option have we been left with? Let us push for reforms through the only alternative we have, who is William Ruto. Tumpatie pressure hata asilale, hata namba ya simu yake ikipatikana ma message, wewe bwana hujafanya hivi, tumpatie pressure all the way, and he's seeding crowd. Let's also be fair to him. He's seeding crowd, and he will continue seeding more ground for the sake of GenZs. Then ikifika ni uchaguzi tufanye tuone scale huyu jamani kama
improve. Give him.
For me, I will not say that. Tuangalie ratili tuone kama hajamaliza hii kitu, aguka naye tuweke sasa wale watu wanafaa kupata viti na watu ni wengi. So this is what I'm saying, but between
watu ni wengi
watu wale wanaweza kazi ni wengi. My brother, there are many. Oh yes, the president of France took power at 39. Emmanuel Macron. The president of America, 45th, 44th, took power at 42. Barack Hussein Obama, the president of Madagascar today.
Do you think we can have a useful president? Do you think we can have a useful president next time?
I'm giving you examples. The president of Madagascar took power at 32. Rajurina,
He was a DJ.
He was a DJ doing anything.
But then you must also add, when he took over power,
yes,
it became impossible for him to run the country.
it is true. He didn't run.
What did he do? He had to go back and bring the older people
who
understood the system to try and help him.
That is it.
You are in the right place at the right time. You are able to start learning. You are able to start knowing what is wrong and what is right in a government. And therefore you are forming up your mind.
Yes. When
we take over, we will never do a stupid thing like this one.
This is what I say, that we must know what we are fighting.
So, and also, in any war, there's no war that ends with a gun. Always there's dialogue. There'll be peace missions. There'll be people talking. So the only thing you can do is continue talking.
Continue talking and
eyes on the prize.
And demanding eyes on the prize. I agree. And by the way, brother, I don't want to talk much. This beautiful girl here, the Prime Minister of Finland is her age. We have girls in this country who can become presidents.
She's a prime minister.
Yeah, she's a prime minister, and I think she was 36 or 35. I think she was 37. She became prime minister. That country is successful today. Okay, so also be careful that Gen Z's clamor for change is not hijacked by elements who are Gen Z's and Millennial, but are basically worse than the people we want to be. Okay, and I give an example. There is a guy who was elected as president. Today he's a president of Ukraine. Okay, he was
Zelensky.
He was I think he was a dancer or something. He was
a comedian.
He was a comedian. He was a stand-up comedian. Okay, he became president. Where did he lead his country?
Into war.
Yeah,
into war.
That country is 97 years back from where it was when he took it over. Why? Because he's been taken over by interest in the West. He's fighting a war that does not concern his country. Are we together?
And desperation to look nice to those you think are successful. And America has been the standard. So really, you also
because
must
be,
you must be looking for leadership with a clear mentality of American identity, not a you must have your own identity. Every country, every place on this globe has its different problems.
Distinct.
Distinct problems. The mess we have today is desperation to please certain powers. And then we have ended up becoming slaves to those powers.
And that's why we like them today.
And the last time I had a discussion with him, he talked of the first woman president.
But I can agree that we can pull a very good government for the ladies. It's a high chance now we bring in this country.
I agree.
As many will be happy to take you.
Maybe I will let you into some issues. Last election, my candidate for president was not Raila, was Martha. And I had a battle. I had meetings with Mohoho, with Uhuru, and they said no. I said, but you've lost your base. How do we have a candidate that is acceptable across? We'll look at Martha as a lady. If you don't do that, you lose your ground. And for real, he lost the ground.
That is true.
So I strongly believe we need a lady president after the presidency of William Ruto. If there will be one with the ability, why not?
They are there. They should come out.
They should come out.
Muko wapi?
Tuko hapa.
Very nice.
We are very ready.
Muko wapi? Mujitokeze.
At the end, what I know is us as Gen Zs and the millennials, we know what we want. And let's not beat our chest so hard and forget that we need these people.
Yes.
They have been in the government, and some of them might not know what we have just discussed here. So what next? If Ruto goes, if Gachagua goes, and we don't want the military, so what next? So we also have to give these people a chance for them to talk to us and also
guide,
listen
mentor.
and guide us.
And mentor.
It's a very key.
So qualification is not youth. Remember that, Gen Z. Qualification is not youth. Qualification is ideas. Okay?
And your mentality as to why you are getting into government.
You bring youth here. That
Your
are
end
thugs. Basically, they are your enemies. Let me ask you. The ministers who are in this government, who are expressing opulence and wastage of public resources, were they old or young?
No, they were actually young, yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Were they old or young?
They were young.
But that is it. They were young. They were not even showing what they have. So let us also be, and I conclude by saying the word he has said, eyes on the
Price.
Eyes on the prize. Eyes on the prize. Eyes on the prize.
yeah. And the price we know it. Yeah.
What do you say about that? About the guidance and their advice about hashtag Ruto must go as a Gen Z?
I feel it's important to acknowledge we need guys like CJ.
Yeah.
Because some of us as Gen Zs, we also do have our weaknesses.
Yeah.
We are strong, but not so many of us are rich in history.
Yeah.
Like I think for you to understand a government, it's very important for you to go back to the roots and understand, okay, this happened. CJ was once president of ASL.
Yes.
Are you?
The chairman.
He was.
Vice chairman.
It's the same. No, it's the same as
It's the
president.
same.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
They have done history on him.
I'm very learned.
Thank you very
Gen
much.
Zs are learned.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Oh, very
in
good. I
history.
appreciate that.
Yeah. So I think, for example, the CS for Youth Affairs and Sports, you know, like CJ is in a position to say AFC Leopards was here in 1990, 92. We are in 2024. Where what progress has AFC Leopards made?
It's collapsed.
It has collapsed. So he's in a good position to advise. We tried this, it failed. You guys are in a position to do this and it may work. So it's very important for Gen Zs to also acknowledge that we need the backbone. We really do. And we also need the millennials as well, because
my big bros.
yeah,
My
big
bros,
brothers.
my
Because last election, most of us were children, we were babies. I did not even understand that. I just recently was in my bed and I was thinking, why is it that you must have a voter card to vote? Why can't you vote with your ID? And this is where now the government huwa inashika Gen Z. Juu wengine ni unajiambia, nini nipange line for a voter's card. Yani, the reason why I didn't vote in the last election is because I was just, I was like, nipange line nichomwa najua ati for voter's card, you know. But right now I understand the importance of me going to get banned 3 a.m. in the morning. I will wake up, I will go get that voter's card because I know it's very important. And ile kusema sasa kura moja ita change.
It can change a lot.
It can change a lot.
Yes.
So I think right now we are learning, especially from them. So as we are keeping our eyes on the prize, let us also be very knowledgeable. I always believe that whatever you have in your brain, no one can take it from you.
That's
For sure.
It's a real asset.
Yeah.
You're a
But
real asset.
my personal opinion on that is I value mentorship so much. Personally, I've gone through mentorship. I've worked under my boss for 3 years, and the way I went to him was purely, I want you to mentor me. All right, so I'm learning what he's learned in 10 years within a very short period of time. All right, and that's very important. But it's something I really want us to discuss and make true, is that weakness with our generation is that we don't listen. All right, we are very hard-headed because I remember I was talking with a producer and tulikuwa nasema Gen Z tumeamua millennials kaeni kando, hatutaki kuwasikia, we are doing it. See, she's called Kanini, she was doing a Gwamboka home. You see, it has its pros and it has its cons, because we need to listen, but we also need to be on the forefront to be listened to as well. So I think that was very important to mention, that yes, we need things to change. Yes, we need to now occupy the seats, but then we need to be guided. And like personally, with my personality, I'm a person who maybe wants to start something. I'm a creative. I will start something, but I will jataseka sustain, all right, what I've started. And that's not something that needs to be in government. Our generation is for trends, is what is now, what is a new thing, you know?
Yes.
It's moving, it's very quick. And in politics, it might not be a really good thing, you know? So I like that we've said, yes, it's a good thing that we're doing. Yes, it's a good movement and it's a good war that we are fighting, but let's stand guided.
Yeah.
As we demand to be listened to, let's also listen. I think that's
agree
what
to also listen and guided.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about the harsh things that is happening in our country right now. Bodies are being discovered at Mukuru, and today a lot of bodies are being discovered. People are being assassinated and abducted. And let me give you a backstory of maybe one person who was abducted. His name is Crazy Nairobi, and he was telling a story of how poor cops with balaclavas and covering their faces went to his house, knocked, took him to an unknown location because he was blindfolded, took to a basement somewhere because he remembers going down the stairs. His hand was handcuffed behind and blindfolded and was told to lie on his stomach. He was there for the whole night with his shorts and a shirt, and the following day, the story, he says, they moved his hands to the front and he was able to remove the blindfold, only to realize he was in a toilet the whole night. Then was investigated later on, and the questions he was being asked were in the lines of who is funding this mandamano, who is paying you, etc., etc. But the thought that Crazy Nairobian slept in a toilet on the floor, cold floor, with a short and a shirt for 2 nights, just to be asked who is funding the protest and what do you really want from this protest? That is a question you can easily ask in a table like this, all right? Then what happened in Rongai and Githurai? The images we saw, the TikToks we saw. You know, we are being told there was no massacre happening, but we saw videos and we were listening to the gunshots. We were listening to the people crying. We have children with bullet wounds. And a week later, we are now seeing decomposing bodies in rivers. Such a heartbreaking time for our country. And I want us to talk about that, its effects, where is this coming from, and where do we move from here? And I want to start with you, CJ. You had a friend who has been a pivotal man, even now, that he is not even alive. The late Jacob Juma. He was assassinated after even making a tweet, because this revolution has been happening on social media. Jacob was fighting on social media as well, so I think it's just repeating itself. So Jacob did a tweet saying there's a meeting happening about my assassination, and not long after he was assassinated. That was your friend. You were able to know what happened during that time, and you're seeing what is happening now. What is your thoughts? What should we do as a generation to see changes, and your thoughts?
One is, I really want to thank the Law Society of Kenya. They have moved in heavily, and they are providing free legal services to the young generation. Secondly, it is the president to make up his mind. Do you want to fight your own children for asking what is right? If there's a special squad, and we are told there are 20 cars commanded by a certain person in the State House who are carrying out this treacherous act, just stop it. This country does not belong to individuals. This country belongs to Kenyans. When you are given an opportunity to serve, please serve. So this one, only one person must take the call. President William Ruto. Just stop it. Nobody has come to Sugoi to pick your bananas. They are saying, don't pick our bananas. Don't have a system that is harvesting everything that we have. Just listen and do what is right. This harassment of young men is totally uncalled for. The death we are seeing, the bodies that are being exhumed, and they know it very well. And William remembers a clash between me and him and President Uhuru at the late Soita's house when we discussed the death of Juma, and at the same time there was an attempt on my own daughter.
Yeah, I remember you told the story
yes,
of the boyfriend.
If you want to know that anatomy of how they used to do it, you go back to Jeff Koenange, you'll get it.
Yeah.
My young girl was carrying the brain of the boyfriend in her own hands, crying. And she could think of nobody. The first person she looked for on phone was myself. This is what they have done to us. So I understand exactly the pain parents of those children are going through. And the only person who can ensure it doesn't happen is the President of the Republic of Kenya. Nobody else. The buck stops with him. And it has to stop. That's all I can say.
Susan. The table is getting emotional.
Yeah, this hits so deep, and my sincere condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones, and still urging that if your loved one is missing, there are some channels that you can go check, and there's a number that maybe even the team can share on how you can reach out. I've seen Boniface Mwangi putting a number there if one of your loved one is missing, and just reach out. But it's a heinous action. It's a very bad thing happening in Kenya. Our children are dying, and we are calling out on our president. And I have 2 children. I have a son, and I have a daughter. And I remember there's a boy, a guy who was shot, and at the parliament, and I just saw how they just blown, and it came to my thought, and I thought, can you imagine that being your son? And thank you. And I was so emotional every time I could see things happening. And then another one that hit me is the 12-year-old boy that was shot 8 times. That really made me. I remember I even knelt down and I told God, why would a cop just shoot eight bullets on a child? As in, we are crying out to you as mothers and asking, please stop killing our children. Please stop killing our children. And we know that you also have children. And I remember one day, Mr. Ruto just woke up one day and told Uhuru that dare touch one of my child. The time the pressure was, the political pressure was just up there, and he came
in defense of his children.
In defense of his children, and that is the same thing we are asking the President Ruto. Please make a call and just stop this killing, because it's still going on. It's still going on, and we know that he can change. Let's see that different person that we thought that maybe those people who were killed in Eldoret, in a church somewhere that were killed, and In short, Mr. President, please stop these killings, and these are our children, this is the generation, and we are feeling very heartbroken when we see these pictures. And actually, I will even say we are sorry if we have wronged you, but please just stop this killing for our children, please, kindly.
When the president is sworn in and takes the oath of office, he is handed over 2 instruments only.
Mm.
Do you know them?
Mm-hmm.
One?
Instruments of power?
Those instruments of power, only 2.
I don't know.
There are 2.
Sword and constitution.
That's all.
Okay.
The Bible is just a mental slavery of the white man's gimmick.
Mm.
Okay? 2 swords, rather 2 instruments. The sword and the constitution. What is the work of the sword? The work of the sword is to protect the constitution. Because the sword, why are they given the sword? This is a classical history. The highest instrument of power today is not the sword. The most lethal instrument of force then was the sword. Kings and princes would conquer the world using horses and swords. Sword was the thing then. What is the sword today?
Constitution.
No.
Mm.
If you go into war, what do we use? We use missiles, okay, and guns. So I'm actually suggesting, and I'll move that in the coming days in Parliament, we should no longer be swearing the president with a sword, because what is a sword? Sword is nothing. Let's give him bazooka, and give him machine gun with rounds of magazines. Swear with that, afungwe, and then umpatie katiba, so that he looks as a man of war, ready to defend the republic. Okay, ready to go for the people threatening the lives of the people within that republic. The sword is just a classical history, and it's a symbol. Having said that, then I want to say this, the following. The people who kill as a way of suppressing protest and suppressing different voices like the ones we are having in this table are people. They are men and women, but they don't think that there are no killer cops who are female. We have very lethal female core who kills. Cops. Wanawake mbaya sana bana. Na atakuchekesha mchana. Men knows this better because they can smile to you and they are beautiful women. They lure you before you know you are into a sack of cloth. Umekatakatwa. Let me address the policemen who are killing our children and those who have killed our children. Why would you kill? Kama askari, una mtoto bwana. Wewe huyo mtoto ya wenyewe unaua. Yani you just cut, shoot and hit a son or a daughter of somebody. Wewe huna mtoto? And you think your child will be free from karma? As a policeman? No. You can't cheat life. You may cheat everything, but if you have a son and you have killed a son of another woman or another man, your son will die. And he will not die naturally. So I'm pronouncing a very lethal curse sitting on this table. This curse is so lethal that every policeman who has pulled a gun to kill, their children will be killed as well. They don't have to be killed by people. They can be killed by a glass of wine. They can be killed by a chunk of meat. They can be killed while driving and have an accident. They can be killed by an animal. Amongst Kikuyus where I'm born, we have a proverb that says, let me interpret loosely, that even a sheep without horns can break a pot. You are just afraid of a sheep that has a horn, but a sheep without a horn can as well break what? Because they just need to push it and it will fall and break. So, Mr. Policeman, female or male, if you are watching, where is my camera? This one, eh? Mr. Policeman, you who is killing in the name of protecting the regime of William Ruto. If you are there and you are watching me, Zach Kenovia, and you have killed a son or a daughter of a Kenyan, you continue to use your gun and your blindfolding garments to torture our children, your children will perish. And I'm not saying amen. Your children will perish and you will perish as well. Because the gun you have is not to kill. The gun you have is a gun to protect those who kill. But you are using it against your oath to kill people who are asking for their rights. You will kill too. You'll be killed yourself too. One day you shall die. And no wonder why policemen die very miserable lives, those who kill other people. So the last point that I want to put in this is that the constitution that we passed, 2010, proscribe several attempts. One, you cannot abduct a Kenyan under the new law. Number two, you cannot torture. Don't say murder, because even the old constitution said you cannot murder. But torturing and abductions are proscribed crimes in the new constitution, including detention without trial. You can't hold people incommunicado for more than 24 hours. And you cannot arrest people, as she said, at night. You can't break into my house at 3 a.m., wake me up with my children and wife, and then say you are looking for me. One, the way to be arrested, and GenZ napenda sana, I'll give you an advice. Do not yield until somebody identify himself.
Yeah.
Tell you he's called Zaki Kinuthia. He's a policeman attached to police station X.
Yes.
This is my police number. I have a warrant to arrest you. Warrant signed by who? By the officer commanding him and the prosecutor of the area. Don't follow anybody else unless they are thugs. And if they forcefully take you, scream the whole shit of the world. Scream and refuse to board. Even if it means you going down, breaking everything around you, don't go. And scream. You have a voice. Scream even if it is at night. Don't allow them to take you down. Because you cannot arrest people at night. Number two, you cannot arrest people without identifying yourself as a policeman. So GenZ must fight and fight and fight and fight and refuse to go down. But now, if you find yourself abducted, what do? I'll advise GenZ. In the most unlikely situation you find yourself abducted, what do? Cooperate. Okay? And lie. Are you together? Lie. What are they asking you? Who is funding you? Give them the answer. Tell them, whom are they saying is funding you? Already they are saying, people are being funded by Uhuru Kenyatta and Gachagua. That's what they are saying. Yeah, tell them you're being funded by Gachagua and Uhuru.
If they ask you for proof.
Good, they're asking you for proof. Tell them to give you back your phone. You show them M-Pesa. Once they give you your phone, use it as she said. Make a video and say, I am under abduction and I am dying. I don't know where I am. The location will find you there. Policemen hate cowards. They don't want to see cowards. Rather brave men. They hate brave people. Brave women who can scream. If you identify yourself and scream, do this. So cooperate to an extent where you can find a way to exit. Once you exit, even if it is in a forest, keep going. Just like Johnny Walker keeps saying, keep walking. Keep walking until you find your light and you are out of danger. Lakini usiogope, don't go down. When we were agitating for rights, when I was a student leader in Sonu, I was the president of Sonu when I was at University of Nairobi. We used to say, and this is what I think GenZ should also say, I would rather die standing than live the rest of my life kneeling. Why should I kneel over somebody? Don't be cowed down. Now ukikuwa abducted, alafu uchomoke. Bwana, don't cow down at you remember at you umewekwa kwa choo. That one should not break you. Those are tactics that were used by the British monarchy to suppress voices when they were conquering countries. There was one policeman sent here. He had been sent to Malaysia and Bulgaria. Not Bulgaria, so Burma, to go and break the people who are fighting for independence, where British had colonized. So that policeman did such atrocious acts of forcing people to confess that the Prime Minister of Britain then, I think he was called Hallard or something, Macmillan, removed him from there because he was so fierce and sent him to Africa. The Africa he was sent was here in Kenya. Joseph Meitzagen, he was a German English person. He was so fierce. You know what he used to do? He came with a badizo and he would castrate men's balls. So, badizo imewekelewa. Kabla imalize kwenda juu, ikifikishwa hapa katikati. Are you going to confess at that point or not? Then what would he do? He would come up and pick hot bottles. I don't know whether you have bottles here. He would pick a bottle and hit it. Then he would call a woman that wanted to confess. She would be undressed. And the guy would take the bottle near in. At that point, is a woman going to confess or not? So we have seen worse situations before. Okay? Okay? We have seen worse situations. We have seen worse abductors. We have seen worse torturers before. But our forefathers did not give up. Why should their grandchildren give up? 2030, we must fight this fight to the end. Tuko pamoja ndugu?
Kweli.
Kuna kuogopa.
Grandchild, what do you say?
I feel, first of all, the president is very unserious with handling the abductions. Because one, we have several CCTV footages of these policemen who are shooting. But up until now, no single policeman has been brought to book. Or even just trying to take them to court. None. Example of Rex, yeah? You can see the CCTV footage. That police officer was in plain clothes, he was in a denim, a blue denim and kofia. The whole day alikuwa anaranda town. Even me myself, I gave myself a DCI job. I even found his Facebook, I found his wife and the son, and I posted. And then now the DCI is saying we are looking for this boy. What are you looking at?
You already...
Me, someone who is a DCI through University of YouTube, have been able to find his whole family. Then you have all the equipment you can access in this world to trace where he is, but you're not doing your job. And then that same night that the shooting were a bit too much in town, the president did a very gaslighting speech. He should fire the person who wrote that speech that night. Because you could see he's a cold-blooded killer. He was reading the speech and deploying KDF, and he has not even consoled the nation. He's the father of the nation. Console people, tell, okay, this is what happened. Okay, we are now going to do this. He came there fearlessly. Walking on alikuwa na bounce, alikuwa anafanya hivi with a speech. He was like, tomorrow KDF ni ile yafanyeni yani rudini muone. Like he could not believe GenZs walifika parliament. Of all the demonstrations that have happened in history, hakuna mtu ashaiwasha kiberiti ndani ya parliament. The king was naked. And he was trying to show us vile yeye ni mkali, but we are like, no, we are not relenting. So first of all, he's very unserious with handling the situation, but we cannot stop. Again, the abductions are bringing fear. Yesterday, IPOA posted a statement that if you have witnessed any abductions or any killing, you go and record a statement. But we are like, you want the witnesses, you want to abduct the witnesses now, because now you're not sure, you might go to give a statement and you never come back. Yeah. Like, we need also witnesses to be protected. Like, you want me to give you details of, let's say, a policeman who shot this person, but what guarantee do I have when I go to the police station, I am going to come back to my house? Exactly. So I feel the president should be serious about it, and I don't know, maybe he's used to killing, so it does not shake him, but this time round we are not going to give him rest. Tulisema unaona nywele yake kipara imefika hapa, by the time tunamalizana naye hata kuwa na nywele kwa hiyo kichwa, so he better listen to
he will not believe, he will not believe,
he will not believe it.
Abductions and torture and killing. Let me go back to Moi's time and tie it to what is happening right now. How are we able to get ourselves out of that situation, and how do you think we can get ourselves
The
out
constitution was different. There was detention without trial.
And forceful arrest.
And
forceful arrest.
Forceful arrest.
That time, yeah.
There was. So Raila was detained, Koigi Omere was detained.
For years.
For years. Yeah. Without trial. The constitution is different today. So the abductions were not necessary. He had the legal powers to do whatever he needed. And the chiefs are equally very powerful. And they would stop, they were used to suppress the freedom of speech. The Chiefs Act was one of the worst acts the colonialists used. And it was perpetrated into the independent Kenya. But at least it was gotten rid of.
All right. There's a saying that says, show me your friend, I show you who you are. There's something she said about the speech, and it's something that people have pointed out is what is the communication team at State House doing? Let's leave that aside. Let's talk about the people around him, all right? Because if you look at a bad man, obviously there are bad men around him. So can we have a discussion of people who are around him? Personally, do the president's advisors advise him, or does the president advise his advisors on the advice they should give him? All right? And the people in parliament, the people under him, the many people who are submitting under him that we see eating taxpayers' money and displaying opulence and all that. Do you think killing the virus is starting it from the roots, and the roots are these bad people under him? And is it just that he is a bad person with good people around him, or is it that there are people?
Show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah. What do you think, sir?
I think his advisors are really taking this thing like a joke. I remember there is one, I don't know, these guys who are called, they are sent on the ground to measure what are people saying, what are people thinking. So there's one of my friend who was called by that guy and he's like, can you tell me how it is? So he was in a meeting and I was like, can I tell you that when I'm out? So it was so urgent that he went and told the guy that the ground is not good, you get? But he took a negative answer to maybe the person who was supposed to tell the president. So, and I also question the president. Why do you listen to your advisors, and why don't you do your own investigation? Why don't you have a team of people who you like ground in a semaji, ground ikoaji, you get, and trust them and make Gen Z's your friend. As much as they talk too much and even they will call you a dog on the national TV, they can really help you a lot. Yeah. And that's why you are in this mess, because you didn't listen to that. So
let me add something small. We have advisors, but we have people the president listens to. I think the advisors sometimes are not heard.
So they're just in the office eating money but not doing
sometimes you them unfair.
You know, yes, somebody develops faith in the people based on knowledge. I know him. He will say the truth and the truth only. People have really bashed Sudi. Left, right, and center. But I know of a few incidents he stood firm, and those people are safe. Kinoti, remember, was the worst enemy of William Ruto. The person who made sure that Kinoti is not touched was Sudi. Rai, the one was, you had vitu vitatu, sijui uhama, sijui nini. The person who stood firm for Rai not to be touched was the same Sudi. And I think I can name 4 or 5 people. In his crude way, he has a way around William. There are people always somebody listens to. He has that weakness of talking very roughly and showing some primitive opulence. But he has a heart. The current so-called advisors the president has, 90% are there to earn money. And none of them has the guts to face William and tell him, this is correct, this is wrong. From the time Ruto became president, I've met him twice. I went to State House and I've met with him twice. But the meetings were not very interesting. In one meeting he asked me, did you come here to quarrel? So it depends. Can you stand your ground and say what you know is correct and what you know is the truth? So we have advisors who are earning money. And also, knowing the nature of William, he has very little time to listen. He makes up his mind, and that's it. And that's why I'm insisting. He has to search himself and totally change. That's what I'm saying.
Deep soul searching.
Deep soul searching and change. We are told, even in cabinet meetings, in your ministry I want this and that and that and that. In your ministry I want that. So why do you have a cabinet? So it is the transformation of William Ruto that shall save the 3 years.
and has
Not advisors.
and he should have an ear to listen. He needs to calm down.
Let me put it this way, my brother, in terms of advisors. Because Gen Zs ni watu ya kusoma, I would want to refer them to a book called The Prince, written by Niccolo Machiavelli, who was an advisor to the king of Italy. And when the king died, the prince, who was a son, exiled him. Why? You exile the advisor of your father. Why? I'll tell you why. He says in that book called The Prince that the first measure in determining the intelligence of a leader is to study the people around him. That's all. If you carry nothing from this show as Gen Zs, always remember that and start with yourself. Whom do you listen to?
And who do you associate with?
That is it. Of course, I know it's not your mother.
Yeah.
I know your greatest advisor may not be your mother or your father, but you have my boys na ma GFs, ma BFFs. Wale mko nao, ambaye kuna yule mjamaa akikwambia kitu lazima utafanya. Kuna yule mdema akikwambia hiyo kitu acha hiyo kitu. That person, who is that person? So people are fond of saying ni mtu mzuri ni wale wamemzunguka. That's crap.
It's not. That's crap.
Every time you
that's why I was asking the question.
Don't even listen to that.
Don't listen to somebody telling you ni mtu mzuri.
And this is what
Never listen to
this
that.
is what people are saying. That Ruto ni mtu mzuri na wale wamemzunguka. Uhuru ni mtu mzuri na wale wamemzunguka. Moi alikuwa mzuri na wale wamemzunguka. Kenyatta alikuwa mzuri na wale wamemzunguka. Kibaki was. Let me ask you, brother. Did you ever even know who are Kibaki's advisors? Were they in the public? No, I mean seriously, you guys think you have your everything here. At least for Uhuru, there were a few, but we didn't know all.
I didn't know any.
Yeah, that is it. We didn't know even Nani, advisors to Kenyatta, the senior.
So if you hear this advisor,
yes,
you are creating those that will be blamed
that is
for
it.
what you are going to do.
You're setting them up. Okay, you're setting them up. Yeah. So
okay.
this is what.
So you're creating a
budget.
Yeah,
you're right.
For people to box.
Box in vain. Because this is it. Who is an advisor? People don't know, but in the government, as a cabinet secretary and as a president, you are entitled to advisors employed by taxpayers' money. But an advisor is
a specialist.
Is a specialist. That's a word.
An economic specialist. Because a security specialist.
Or a education specialist.
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody who comes to you to advise you, for instance, as your economic advisor, must be somebody with impeccable economics credentials.
True.
With track record and a CV of a kind. And let me just put it this way. I personally may not like David Ndei, but David Ndei is not an idiot. He is a Harvard, I think, trained. 2, he has worked for organizations that are known like World Bank. He's somebody who has studied economics up to the level of PhD. Now, if he comes to study concepts of economy, he comes from a certain school of thought. That school of thought may not be applicable now.
Today.
Okay? So if you determine as a president, if you're intelligent and as a president you determine this guy is good, I can't take away his credentials, but it is not what I'm looking for now. You go for the one you're looking for because you are being advised. The person who is being advised is not foolish, or rather should not be foolish. So if you are bringing somebody to advise you, you must be able to listen to him or her. I can't bring her to my office to be advising me, yet I don't take her advice. Yeah. I'm even wasting her life.
And even paying her to do
that.
Yes,
I'm paying. Again, it's not all about money, as he says. Sometimes money can be a disease. There is honor in your advice being taken for greater good. But if your advices are just shredded, you write an advice as an advisory, it is shredded. You write an advice of a certain matter, it is shredded. How do you end up?
But I'm coming to advise you, and you're calling me to give me instructions.
So I'm an advisor. I'm not an employee. You know, an advisor is not an employee. An advisor is a different person. So this is what I would say of the advisors. I am sure that every country is in this manner. But Kenya, a Kenyan president has very professional advisors. And the first advisor is advisor on security matters. The president has advisory in his table every morning from the Director General for Intelligence. A well done, truthful way of how things are. That advisory comes to his table every morning. There is another one that comes from the director of military intelligence. Okay, to tell him the enemies that Kenya is facing externally, not necessarily for war, even for things like cyber, even for things like threats that we may face as a country in the coming years. There's another advisor coming to the president every morning from DCI called Director for Criminal Research Bureau. Criminal Research Bureau. Somebody who says our cyberspace is not safe. Our banking IT is not safe because we can lose money. You remember there was a time eCitizen was hacked by people calling themselves anonymous? They were not here, but they stole money. They carted away our fortune. That money left. A bank today can be robbed without people going to the bank. How is the president supposed to know, and who is the president supposed to task so that this one is not done? So there's an advisor, but we don't know these people. We only know people like Ndi, we know people like Monica Juma, we know people like the people who just surround him there as advisors on economy, security, on this. Those are the only people you know. But the real advisors to a president who listens are not known, and they have no face. So the president cannot excuse himself.
Sorry to cut you short, but it's very funny because Gachagua at that time blamed what's his name? Haji. Because that president was not getting information on the ground. All right? And you've just clearly said that he gets information,
because you're my younger brother, I will answer that question, although I had said anywhere Gachagua appears in flash. Okay? But because you're my brother, let me answer. Gachagua is basically fighting Nordin Haji because the constitution does not confer powers to NIS to address the deputy president. Reports that are generated by national intelligence services are not consumed by two people. They are consumed by only one person. In the name of who? The President of the Republic. NIS does not advise the deputy president. They may decide to tell him what is happening because it concerns him. Okay? Because this is something that you need to do as a deputy president because it is concerning you. But the real crank of intelligence reports are consumed by only one person, the chairman of National Security Council, who is the president of Kenya. So to say that Nordin Haji is misadvising the president or is not advising the president is total crap from a deputy president of the republic whose personal war to him was exposed by his next statement that when he came in, he fired 13 people, he fired 3 people, he did. So you could see why his war was there. Some people had been fired from the intelligence, whom perhaps he was using to access information he should not, as the deputy president, access. So forget about Gachagua and his war, and but even, also consider as
yes, and even you are the deputy president. You have access to the president. Why addressing Kenyans? Go and address the president that we did not get this information. And the president maybe had the information. Why are you talking to Kenyans? That's seeking sympathy.
Exactly.
That is campaigning. And setting up the president.
Because if I go and tell my children, niliambia mama yenu, you know, a house is leaking. Then I call the children on the table and I tell them, niliambia mama yenu aende anunue mabati, na hata pesa nikamwambia pahali atatoa, lakini hakuenda kununua mabati, ndio mumenyeshewa kwa kitanda leo asubuhi. So should I tell my children such nonsense? I should sort that with my wife.
Yes.
Okay, and then provide safe, habitable house to our children. But if I go out there and start telling my children, hata mama yenu ni shenzi sana.
What kind of parent am I?
Okay, as we wrap up and finish our conversations, let me just get into our YouTube. Thank you guys for joining in on the platforms on YouTube. We appreciate. Let me just find some questions. We have a comment from Martin. He says, all we need is reforms. Thank you very much, Martin, for watching. We have Frederick Courier asking a question. Can Kenya resolve this crisis through Western democratic principles and system of governance? And James Mwangi of Equity should be the new CS of finance. People who are competent and do not need to steal from government to make it with experience. But we can have a round comment shortly on that. Can start with you.
I think you can say.
Okay, I think already we have 2 CSs from Gen Zs. We have the CS for sports.
Okay.
Then we have CS for treasury.
CS for treasury.
James Mwangi, she's
Yes.
been mentioned there. I hope the president can listen because
Yeah.
these things are organic.
Yeah.
If Kenyans think James Mwangi can no longer misadvise the president financially.
Do you think
because
James
he's already
can agree to leave?
If he can agree.
If he can
This
agree.
is it. We should, Gen Z should not give him a chance to agree. They should force him
They
into the
should tell
office.
him we'll occupy
Yeah,
it.
because this is a man.
Go and do that job.
Because Wakenya wanasema kuja bwana utufanyie hiki. Na ni mzee. I think yeye ni baby boomer.
Yes,
Just like
he's-
you.
he's-
So
yes.
he should also offer his services to their country that had made him a billionaire. Kenya has made him a billionaire, changed his fortunes, made him a man, made him a successful fellow.
Yeah.
So when will he ever give back to Kenya? He can come in, become CS. He should not say, I'm not a politician, I don't like politics. That's something I don't like hearing people say. Because politics define everything. So the other point that he has mentioned there, can we change our country through Western democratic
Principles.
This is what I was saying.
Yeah.
Is China ruled by Western democratic principles?
Yes.
Eh?
Me, I think it does.
Okay,
Personally,
well, I'll tell you, is Russia the same? Is Europe the
Okay,
same?
they are different.
Is Africa the same?
Okay.
They are not. So
Yeah.
this is what democracy is a good thing, but democracy is not the democracy is not the democracy of the West. Every country should have its own democracy that works for it. If you go to, for instance, Sweden, okay, there is a king and there is a prime minister. Is that democracy? The king is the head of state, and the prime minister is the head of government. So the person who appointed the prime minister, even if you guys elect him in UK, we already have a new prime minister right now in UK. People elected him and were very happy through the parties. But who appointed him the prime minister? The king, King Charles III, okay? So are you saying King Charles III is greater than all the people? My answer to your question is democracy is not defined by the West. Every country and every society should define democracy in their own working way where it serves them. Democracy is as good as it serves you. If it is poor like the one we have in Kenya here, democracy that does not serve the country, it should be disbanded and married with their traditions, our customs, our values, and then say, we can say, this is how we want to be ruled. As long as we agree, that's democracy. It is the rule by many, for many, and by many. So democracy is not what West dictates. It works if it works for America. There is no guarantee it works for Russia. There is no guarantee that if it works in Russia, it works in Africa. If it is a guarantee it works in Europe, it should not be imposed on South America or Latin America. People should be allowed to marry democracy with the principles it works for them. Without that one, ni kama uoe mwanamke, niseme ama nisiseme?
Suggestions for CS seats. What names come up in your mind? Personally, for CS sports, I wish sports and youth was separated.
They can be separated if you guys
Right?
demand.
We have one dealing with youth separately and sports separately. And my thinking is we've had so many people with PhDs in those seats and have done nothing. We need people with the papers and experience in that certain area, all right? For example, I can give it in my industry, the film industry. Sorry to put him on the spot, but my boss didn't go to school, all right, to learn what he's doing right now, but he's making a lot of money to do it, all right? Somebody else has gone to school in US, in wherever they've gone to, and they have the education. They come back to the country, they don't do anything. Why? Because they don't have the experience, all right? So if you have both and you occupy such a seat, all right, you can be able to do a lot. For example, as people have said, James Mwangi, he's been in the finance sector for a very long time. So if you give him the finance docket, he'll be able to do it. Why not give a doctor
The Minister of Health.
the Ministry of Health, all right? Somebody who has done farming for a very long time, the Ministry of Agriculture. We're just putting politicians, all right, in managerial seats, because I believe a politician and a leader are two different people. We need politicians in parliament and leaders in the cabinet. So personally, for like an example for sports, you can have somebody who has done sports for a very long time, who went for rugby, who's played in FC Leopards, a sports journalist, somebody who has experience.
Eliud Kipchoge, for instance?
In that area, yes.
He has been a national, international icon.
Yeah.
He has done the
Give it to
country
Kipchoge. There's a ministry that we must create. The key problem in the Republic of Kenya is lack of employment. Wealth creation and employment is so critical.
Yeah.
And it must be somebody who will know how to mix the factors of production to create employment.
An entrepreneur.
And I don't want to hear somebody telling me that I'm creating employment by exporting our young people.
That's not creating employment.
The biggest investment Kenya has done is in education.
Educating its own children.
Those people should be the ones changing this country, not going out there to change the economy of other countries.
It's called brain drain. We are draining our brain.
We are draining our brain.
Yeah.
So that ministry to me is very critical.
That's wonderful.
So you suggest it's called Ministry for what?
Wealth creation and employment.
Wealth creation and employment. Okay.
Ministry
So that you
Wealth
can
creation.
create, you see, this stupid thing that I must add taxes to pay debts. Create assets that will pay those debts. I gave you an example of creating one asset when we started.
Yeah, in a minute.
The credit.
No, carbon assets. They are sovereign.
It's huge.
Asset.
Yeah, those are
and it's
sovereign
huge
assets.
money.
Yeah.
And I told you how much money is at HSBC.
$3 trillion.
$3 trillion.
And you just need to
for
plant
that
trees.
particular business.
Just planting.
Kenya is 8, not even just planting, what we have now. Kenya forest cover is 8.8.
Yes.
Add on wetlands and all those things. It's enough money to pay the debt. If you have maintained a national register, that money will also trickle down to the owners of land. Meaning I'm a farmer, I grew my crops, it sank in this much carbon this year. Tax it, give me the balance, it will pay for my seeds, it will pay for my fertilizer. Secondly, Kenya, other than having done a geophysical survey of its country, KEFIS has details of our soils nationally. What crop can grow where.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I talked to Cecil Mbarire's husband, Apa. I told him, Apa, you come from Tesoland. There's a lot of cassava in Tesoland. This is an order of 1 million tons per month to China. Can you put it together?
That is a good deal.
So we are not lacking how to
resources,
expand the tax
Ideas and wealth
base
creation, yes. Agreed.
and create wealth.
Agreed.
It is just lack of seriousness and lack of creativity.
Yeah, and you know, I may not understand what it takes to come up with a finance bill for a whole nation, all right? But I have a small understanding about budgeting on my own, all right? If I've taken a loan at equity, for example, because we've talked about equity, and I have the loan, and agents have come to my door and told me, we will come for your things
If you don't pay.
if you don't pay.
We'll auction you.
All right? What will I do? I cannot go to my boss and tell him, please add my salary so that I can pay for my loan. All right? If I had 10,000 on my budget for entertainment, I'll reduce that budget, all right, to 1,000. If I was eating meat 7 times in a week, I'll eat rice. So that I can pay my debt first, all right? That's a personal debt, so that I can do it. But you can't tell me you want to add taxes, as you said, to be able to pay debt and to be able to get monies in
and
the
to be able to live nicely myself.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
To go to a vacation.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way, so that if the president will be
Shortly,
watching
yeah.
this show, he takes home 2 things. We should have a ministry of wealth creation and opportunity. I think that is bold thinking. And that wealth asset creation is already there. Not just tangible,
And it will
assets.
cut across all ministries.
Exactly.
Why haven't we developed a LAPSET?
That is it. Extended as it was meant.
Yes.
And she's a business lady. She knows where money can be generated.
She knows
And
there's a
evidence
population
is-
in Ethiopia
Yes.
which will buy her goods.
That is it. Yes. And if we finish what Kibaki and Uhuru began in LAPSET, it becomes very easy even to move around. So number 2, we should have, and I agree with you totally, if the president has had GenZs, he should, as he recreate the ministries, of course I hope he will disband the ministries, not just the ministers, the ministries, and create them anew, as he tried to rationalize them. There should be a distinct separate whole mandated ministry on youth affairs. It is a danger. Moi tried, kidogo, Kibaki came in, he set up a whole ministry of youth, then gave it to, I think, Ababu Namamba and Heren Sambili, if you remember.
Youth is not sports.
I
don't think it can be able, that's why I said, separate it.
You can say Ministry of Youth and other things, but ensure that sports and talents and arts and film are separate. But youth affairs are many. Let the youths have their own ministry. And in this, the constitutional age for the youth is 18 to 35. Don't appoint anybody, including me, who is above 35, because I just crossed over. Okay? Let the youth see themselves. Okay?
But what will be the purpose of that ministry of youth?
Nini will be created, the mandate will be created in line with the demands for the young people as things are now. Because things are not as they were in my time, in your time. The youth can bring the issues they want there. Then the ministry will be given the policy guideline, recreation of roles, then give them to run it.
The mandate must also be cross-cutting.
Yes, it must
be. The Minister of Youth must be able to deal with all other ministries.
No, to make it that way, and I agree, I had told President Kenyatta, the only way to do that work, it should be a whole cabinet ministry designated under the president.
Yes.
Okay, so that it is cut above the rest of the ministry, so that it has all the needs.
It can reach everybody.
Yeah.
So that the ministry should be under presidency.
Yes, so that the Minister of Youth, wherever the president goes, he is with him. Whatever he wants, he doesn't call that minister. He tells the president, tell the Minister for Sports that this policy is overdue. Then the president calls that minister. That you have so powerful, just make it the most powerful ministry after internal security.
Yeah.
So that it can cross-cut everywhere. The youths are all over. I hope he can pay us for these ideas, Cyrus. You
should.
Why are we advising him?
And also, I'm very sure, like, he's going to change also the criteria of how he used to take the CSs.
Yeah.
Because maybe if you knew Ruto, you're getting that job, and surely, even though you're not even experienced, even in like handling the youth culture and all that, and the sports. So right now. The way things are, you listen to us and also check that, go through that CV. That person qualifies.
So no longer friends.
No.
Let me give
not friends. He wants to redeem the 3 years that are here. So we want to see that change. So
let me give you an advice.
Agreed. You have a good concern.
Actually, as a president, you have very little to do.
Yes.
Everybody who served under Kibaki will tell you. As a minister, you went to Kibaki to tell him there is this issue in the ministry. He'll never give you an answer. He'll ask you, what do you think? That was a very, very extremely intelligent man.
Yes, very intelligent.
He knows. You as a minister, you have access to the entire technical details.
Yes, of what
you sit with your people.
And you have the experience.
They have told you exactly what needs to be done in that ministry.
So I'm coming in nowhere.
So you, the minister, tell me what do you think it should be done. And he'll not even listen. You'll say, and he'll tell you, fanya namna hiyo. Vile umesema ndio mzuri. Because he knows you have technical people backing you. It can never be the other way around. Nataka ufanya hii na hii kwa wizara yako, nataka hapana. It can never be that way. You can't manage a government that way.
That is it. Very good.
Thank you. Let's read some more comments. Gladys Taylor, I am a mother of Gen Zs and Millennial, and I'm liking the round table talk and listening to older generation like CK Zach. Great talks. Someone else is asking a question to CJ. I had Jirongo wanajenga affordable housing. Sijui wapi na Ruto. Is it true?
Clarify immediately.
I'm not in business with William Ruto. God forbid. I'm not.
But you should also say, I think you should also say, the ones you have done already.
And the affordable housing is not the business of the Kenya government.
It's probably sexually
Create an enabling environment. We have many developers in this country who will buy land, develop, and will create houses that Kenyans can afford.
One is here.
What you need to do is put money in the pocket of Kenyans.
That is it.
It is not your business as a government to go into construction, to go into housing development. It's not their business.
Right.
Thank you.
So I have no business interest with William Ruto.
Yes,
One
yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
Since the former CSs are jobless, I think it's a good idea for them to apply the jobs that William Ruto is creating abroad. And then they come.
That's a nice one. All right, there's something that was going around, and I just want comments. Okay, I'm Tata for president, 2027.
So you want each of us to comment?
Yeah, each of you to comment.
The question is,
There were some Gen Zs who are proposing
Yes.
Okiya Mtata
Yes.
to be president. Someone else who was brought to the table was Babu Owino and Edwin Sifuna.
Let's give it time. Let's give it time.
But what
Time
I would
will
say,
tell.
but what I would say,
Time will
what I would say is that the position and the vacancy in the presidency opens in 27, right? Anybody
He's free to
is
run.
free to run.
I'm also-
The question is not.
He can also run. Susan can run.
The question is not who, and I want people to get me right. Question is not who. The question is what. If you are coming for that office, what are your intentions?
As you said,
He said,
yeah.
I said it.
What are your intentions? Number two, what do we want as qualifications for that office? Not academics, but what do we want for as qualification? One, we want a man who can, or a woman who can solve the problems we have. And what are the problems in Kenya? We know them. Do these people you are mentioning here and those who more will be mentioned? Because even Matiang'i was mentioned, Mutahi Kagwe was mentioned, Lee Kinyazu was mentioned, he was mentioned by some quarters. Okay? So it is not about who. It should not be about Kikuyu, Luo, Luya, Pokomo, Igbo, whatever. Kenyan mothers have brought forth children. These children have come of age. The age limit for 35 was removed by the new constitution. So even a youth can vie like her and become president of a country. She can become a president of a country. As long as institutions are right, ideas are solid, and there is political goodwill to do what is right. But as you vote for the president, my last comment, as you vote for whoever president, don't forget the parliament. If you vote a good president and send to parliament thugs, what you will have essentially done is to have a lion going into a jungle followed by sheep. What does a lion do with the sheep? It starts eating them. That's what the president had been doing with the parliament. He has eaten and chewed the parliament for 2 years. They were helpless because they were sheep. He was a lion. But now we are saying we want lions as well, so that now the lion and the lions can make our country habitable and functional. Okiya Mtata, Cyrus Jirongo, Susan, myself, you, her, can become president. That's not the question. The question is, what are we clamoring for? Is it a president or is it a workable president?
Do you want to serve?
That is it. That's what we want.
Kenyans must differentiate.
Yeah.
What is this person who wants to be president looking for? Is he looking to be a Mandela? Is he looking to be the woman economist of Russia? That she resigns and the president says, no, if you go, things are going to collapse.
That is it. Yeah.
Russia is at war, yet doing very well economically.
Yes. Yes. That is it.
Is he thinking that I have children and the people have children and the people have sold their assets to invest in their children, and that for a simple man or a simple mother, as she does her business, diversification is in her children. She's investing in her children to get employed. In her old age, if one sent 20 and the other one sent 20,000, that is her salary per month.
Yeah.
So in an African setting, we were investing in our children as a business.
It's a form of insurance.
As a form of insurance.
Against old age.
And if that is not taken care of, no country will stand.
We have no society.
You must always take care of your youth.
Some of the people you mentioned there, as potential candidates, except Mtata, are the modern day Mobutu Sese Seko Kuku Gwendu was a banker. He would fly his plane to Europe to buy lunch in Spain, wine at 4 in France, and he would ask for dinner from Belgium. Some of the people mentioned there. Okay? Is this what we want? Presidency should not be a joke.
It's not a joke. It's a serious issue. We have to take it serious as Kenyans.
It's not a naked, what is it called, street dancing.
And the leadership is not just the president.
No.
From MCA. Today, we devolved corruption. Look at our counties. What is going on? So we need credible leaders right from the grassroots up to the top.
Right.
And the most important is their intent. And I told you, thoughts are things.
Yes, thoughts are
what you think is the only thing you can do. So if you elect a leader who thinks when I go into politics, I'll become rich, you have a problem.
You have sold the country.
And that's a very big problem, because now we have this mentality of I'm going in there because I also want my family to be like the Kenyatta family.
Yeah, that's stupidity.
So what else you're going to eat up the country?
All the taxes and loans.
It's going
so that you can catch up with the Mois and the Kenyattas.
For the Gen Zs, I also want to remind you that
something wrong with your head.
You're going to get children.
Yes.
So in whose hands are you giving this country to? So be very careful. And also trickling down, even in the counties, it really needs to be
sorted out.
And even the MCAs, when you are passing those supplementary budgets, you also need to be very careful, because it's also hitting us even on the ground down there, and it's also bringing us problems.
Okay. Liz, final comments.
Final comments. The fight is still on. We are not stopping. They need to continue to kidnap us. And I feel also the president and the government, they should take this opportunity to understand that we are also living in a digital era. You cannot come here and say that you are given false information about the state of the country, yet you are spending 1 billion for furniture in State House, but you cannot afford TV to watch news and see what's happening in the country, you know. And we also need to be serious with some of these things. 1 billion for furniture. Are you skinning animals and using live leather to make seats, or what is going? Actually, Gen Zs should have access to a State House. Just go and check. What are these guys doing inside there? Why is it so protracted that we cannot access it? We fund it. We build it, we refurbish, but we cannot access it. Why? I need to go and sit there. Indio kiti walinunua. Eh.
Thank you.
But by the way, let me put on the county. Sorry, I know my final comments. Thank you very much. I think that's true. It's a public office.
Yeah.
So to be fair, there should be some scrutiny allowed. Let me tell you about the war where Gen Z should also take. And I'm happy with Gen Zs from Bomet and Kericho. There is a governor who is now a senator who was elected in one of the far north counties. Okay? And his county used to receive, I think, 10 to 12 billion every year. Generally what they do, because they think Gen Zs there haven't gone to school, the masses do not care about the way government is done, that money is always directed back to the city. They steal that money, come and put skyscrapers here, buy posh lands in Nairobi estates. Then they take that money outside the country, where it is converted into gold bars. And they buy houses in Dubai, Malaysia, Seychelles, and they keep that money up to the accounts of their generations. Why? Because nobody is asking these questions. Where is this our money coming? Where is it doing? Whatever. So Gen Zs must also scrutinize counties. If there is theft happening in this nation, 350 billion every year is being wasted in the 47 counties because governors are mini gods. People don't ask them questions. They have no idea. We elect people, especially from where I come, because they have names associated with animals, okay? Or names associated with their mothers, or names associated with the trade they used to do, okay? And because somebody was a hawker selling women panties, he's coming to say, my name is Zakaria Wamaguruwali. Then you are elected on that basis. And because you are popular, you do this. You know, people who have no idea.
You put it outside
there. We must tell young people, the Gen Zs, they must have their debates, counter debates. Before any governor is elected from 2027, there should be debates now by Gen Zs, not by TVs. Listen to them, scrutinize them, throw all the questions to them. If they have no clue, get the
what
fellows
they say.
out of it. Because every year, good people vie. Even in presidency last year, we had 4 people. There are more people than 2. Not only Ruto and Raila, there were 2 more. There was a guy called JoJake, and there was another lawyer, preacher, called David Mwaure. Every governor did not, the one who won, vied with many good people. Every MP, like for me, I vied in my constituency. We are 12. 12 guys who wanted to be members of parliament. Okay? People who are voting can tell. This one is a hawker of Changa. This one is always on radio talking about our issues. This one is a business person who only come home to show us the new car. But the person who get voted for is the one who sent them the killer Bruce, or the one who comes with a new car. Because, oh my God, this guy has a new car. Is this what we want to change?
But things have changed now. I think we've seen.
You are changing things, you guys.
Yeah,
very
we've
good.
seen.
Change them.
Yeah.
The things have really changed, and it's the same scenario like I'm fighting in my.
Yeah, you can shed light on that.
On my constituency.
She left it on fire in the morning.
Of course. There's a fight
Tell us.
I'm having,
Yes.
and there's food that was given by the. It's called the Children Welfare Association.
It's an NGO.
It's an NGO. And they found themselves, they got a store where it's in Kiambaa in a police station. So I understand the residents have been crying out and saying that we can see foodstuffs here that was given this time for the flood time. And I'm sure it's like 3 months ago. So this food has been stored there. You get like...
To be sold.
Yeah.
They want to sell them. They're thugs.
Yeah, so we have been pushing this thing, and I was there last Wednesday. I was there, and we discussed, and we had a way on how to distribute this food. And now today at night, I was there, and
clarify 2 a.m.
Yes, at 2 a.m. You can even go on my Twitter. I was live.
What is your name on Twitter?
Susan Warosho.
Warosho.
And I find trucks there that were to traffic these food stuffs that they
To
have
traffic
been
or to steal?
Let me say to steal.
Yes,
because
it's better word.
it was not communicated that people have to come and get the food, and we had to stop it. We had to stop it, and I want to thank the GenZs very much, because they went there ahead of me, and then they told me, Susan, you have to come on the ground, because now we found people stealing their food, and we were able to stop it. But another thing I want to tell the residents, and even people in the counties, I saw the MP came and he just gave them 200 and they went. Then what next? The food is still locked there. You get?
So it's rotting. The food is rotting.
It is still
It's not helping
rotting.
the
You
people.
get? So let's also.
I saw people lining up. No one was given anything.
Nobody was given anything. They just came, were given 200, and then they went. You get? Yes, it's okay. It's your money. Take the money and go. But let's also have a unity where we came for this agenda.
Yeah.
This food. There's some mattresses there. There's some blankets there. This is the agenda. You know, let's not be carried by a leader coming, and we've seen how he is. He didn't represent us on the financial bill. He voted up. Yes,
He voted against the people.
Yeah, he voted against the people. Why are we forgetting that?
And this is MP for Kiambaa.
This is the MP Kiambaa, Kawanjiko.
John Kawanjiko.
Oh, of course.
Okay,
of
so
course.
we should shame him here.
Please, and
Yes.
let him release the food and give the food.
Okay.
I'm assuming he voted yes.
He voted. Yes, he did.
Yeah,
Yes,
he
yes.
voted yes.
He voted
I
yes.
knew it.
The similarities are
think we wind up.
All right, yeah, thank you very much. This was a wonderful panel discussion. We've delved into very many topics, went into the history, discussed the present, and discussed the future. My final remarks will be, we've realized that the people we elect, all right, may not help us, but they have the power to hurt us. So 2027, please go and vote for one reason, so that we don't get people who can hurt us on those seats. This has been a special episode of the podcast. Thank you very much for joining in. You can share the link on any other platforms and follow each and every one of us. We'll put the names on the description. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the show.
Thank you.
Mumechapa.
Peter. Can you take a picture?
Yeah,
Bottom.
let's take.
I want to smoke, so take the photo.
For the thumbnail.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.